What do you do when people, for no explicable reason, hate you when you're trying to do good? How do you handle that? How do you process that experience and those emotions? Because we're all human, right? So, how do we walk through that? Well, that's what I'm going to be talking about today on our episode of the Artist Commission podcast, along with the amazing responses to the gospel that we have seen and the cool things that are coming up on our trip back to the Poema Project in Africa. My name is Tucker Rodkey, and this is the Artist Commission. What do you do when people out of nowhere are just hating on you for trying to do something good? People look at, like let's say me or any other ministry leader or anything like that, and you see the stuff that's happening, you're like, wow, that's really cool. They got to be energized by that, excited about that. And it's true. It's an energizing work. It's a very exciting work. I love getting to do what I get to do. But no matter what you do in life, I guess, no matter how much good you're trying to do, no matter how positive the work that you're doing is, there's always somebody out there hating on it for some reason, or putting it down or attacking it. And sometimes it makes absolutely no sense. I'll give you an example. So this is happening with some of our work with Legacy Arts Chester. And I'm not coming on here to complain about these things. I just want to give you a little peek behind the veil of what ministry life is like. So you guys know about the mural projects that we're doing in Chester, the beautification of the city, how we're taking these broken down spaces and adding life and color and beauty to our city landscape, you could say. And, if you look at the statistics and you look at the impact that public art has in communities like ours, it's really amazing. And part of this work that we're doing, we don't go like door to door knocking on the residents of Chester. We don't go knocking on their doors, asking them for cash to make these things happen. We don't get money from the city for this work. And yet, every time I make an announcement about one of the videos or through one of the videos, or make an announcement about some of the work that we're doing, inevitably, one way or another, somebody comments or posts or sends us a message that is extraordinarily negative. Like I posted one time about the most recent mural project, the Sunflower Project, right? And somebody went on this like rant about this project where they were like, they just be stealing money from the city. This money could have been used to fix roads in our community and things like that. And I'm sitting there and I'm reading this comment, and like the flesh part of you comes out, right? The sin nature part of you comes out and wants to attack and do blah 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 blah. And I'm sitting there, I'm talking to another artist friend of mine. I'm like, what do they think that it is that we do? Like they're mad at me for not fixing the roads in the city. I don't fix roads. I don't know how to do that. Even if I did do that, people aren't donating money for me to go and fix roads. They're saying, hey, let's add beauty to this. And why can't we just appreciate that for what it is? It's not costing you anything. So why do we love to hate on these things? Or recently made an announcement, right, about the next mural project that we're doing, and somebody commented on it, and they're like, they just be stealing money from you guys. If you knew how much this cost, you guys would be outraged and angry and blah, 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 blah. And I read these things and I see these things and I get these messages that people are like, we don't want this. We, blah, this. We should put this into the school or into classrooms and all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that we shouldn't invest in those things, but that's not what we do. And why are you so angry? And why are you so against anything good happening in the city? Like, what is it inside of you that makes you so internally frustrated that you feel the need that when you see something happening, you need to lash out at it? You got to put some snide comment. You got to message them. You got to do these things. Why do we do this? One of my mantras is any good thing is a good thing, right? So people do good things all the time. And yeah, we can disagree sometimes on the timing of it, the investment in it, all those different things. But at the end of the day, if someone is doing a good thing, a good work, we should be, at least at the very base level, content with that. Like that's where, as low as our emotional scale should go, should be contentment. And here's the thing, like I have friends in ministry, like I know people, and we love to judge and nitpick and criticize, and that's just human nature. And so I see things that I disagree with, and usually what I'll do is I'll talk to that ministry leader or that friend of mine and kind of talk through like, hey, I have these thoughts and I have these questions or these concerns about maybe the strategy of what you're doing, or is what we're doing actually helping, or is it hurting long term? And I'm able to and willing to have those conversations, but I'm not going to just like throw stones at people trying to do good things. Stone throwing is extremely easy. You know what I mean? It's so easy to attack people online. It's so easy to be negative and just be like, and throw stones. And here's the thing, for me personally, I don't know about you, but for me personally, I try not to throw stones unless I have done some self-evaluation, looked at myself, right? Like Jesus told us to, like, why are you nitpicking at the speck in your brother's eye when you have a log in your own? So anytime that we feel the need to nitpick or to criticize or to be negative, it should start internally, right? Like we should look at ourselves and say, okay, is there something in my life that needs to change? Am I being consistent with what I'm putting out there? Does my life reflect the values that I am attacking this other person for? And just because maybe your values are in line doesn't mean you get to automatically go on a Facebook or Instagram rant, right? But it starts there. The next question I ask is there anything that I can do about this situation? Is there anything that I can do? Is there anything that I can contribute to help maybe? Can I talk to that ministry leader or representative that I have these negative feelings towards, and can I discuss with them and talk with them about, hey, maybe here's a better way to go about this. Here's a better strategy. At the end of the day, I don't think I've ever seen a situation where attacking something publicly was the right move for me personally. I know there's things out there that's good when you call people to account in a public space if they are like a public figure, and that's like but that's like the last resort. That's not the first step you take. You know what I mean? And in ministry life, like nobody's perfect. Like I've made plenty of mistakes. Like every ministry leader has made mistakes. Like nobody's perfect, But are they trying? You know what I mean? Do they have integrity in what they're doing? Because I would rather have a ministry partner who is trying and maybe making mistakes than one that is just going through the motions and has no heart, has no passion, takes no risks. I want to see people follow through on their convictions, and maybe they mess up. Yeah. And hopefully it's not sin. Hopefully it's just a mistake. You know what I mean? But I would rather see people do that than just have half-hearted, empty, wasteful effort. And so with our legacy work, anytime we put out something new or something that different that we're doing, we're always going to get criticism. We're always going to get hate for it for some reason. Like, and here's the thing, this is a minority, right? Like the majority of responses that we get to the work that we're doing is overwhelmingly positive. But there's always just one or two people that are just so, I think they're just beat down. You know what I mean? I think they're just beat down, and so they got to find a way to release that frustration and release that anger. And it's sad, honestly, that's where you are in life. And I hope that they find purpose, and that's the thing that, maybe this is the wrong tactic. I don't know what the right tactic is. Maybe just ignoring it is the right tactic, and I do that most of the time. But sometimes, like when people are posting negative stuff, I just invite them into the mission. I say, hey, listen, we believe that you can change the legacy of your community. We have programming for kids on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'd love for you to be a part of it. I invited someone to do that one time, and they literally wrote back to me and they just said, you don't have programming, you're a liar. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. Like, I don't know what I'm doing Tuesdays and Thursdays with all these kids. I'm a liar? What does that mean? Like, I sometimes I swear, like, people are just out of their minds. But like, that's why I just say, I want to invite you into the mission. Come be a part of it. You're not my enemy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're hating on the work, whatever. Come be a part of it. Come invest in some students. Come pour out for others. We get to do it all the time, and it's a blessing, and it's wonderful, and I love it. Come be a part of it. Don't if you're being negative, stop being negative and come be a part of change. You know what I mean? Like, negative thinking and negative reactions without positive action is just a net negative, right? Always. But if there's positive action, right, then you start to see change. Take the civil rights movement, for instance, all right? They are in the civil rights movement, people were saying this is something that should not exist, right? They're having a negative reaction to something that was bad, which is the right reaction, right? They're saying that this is negative, like we shouldn't have this, we should remove this, we should remove these separations, we should remove segregation, all this stuff, right? That is the right response. But if all they've ever said is we should get rid of these things with nothing positive to say we want to get rid of these things so that we can bring people together, so that we can have equality, and here's how we're going to do that. Here's the things that we're going to change. As soon as you introduce the positive, guess what? Then you start to see change. You have to have a vision. You have to have a direction that you're going. Just complaining about things and being negative about things and saying, oh, they should fix the roads, they should do this in the schools, they should do X, Y, and Z. That doesn't bring about change. All it does is make the people who are trying to do good work depressed and overwhelmed. You have to be willing to get to put some skin in the game, you know? You got to be willing to say, you know what? Here's what I'm passionate about. Here's what I want to see change. And here's how I'm going to invest to make that happen. There's issues in all these schools. All right, I'm going to find a way to attend school board meetings. I'm going to find a way to maybe build businesses. I'm going to find a way to bring in more tax revenue that we can pour into the schools. I'm going to do something to bring about change. And yeah, I know that's like a big ask, right? Because we got our lives, we got kids, we got work, we got all this stuff. But here's the thing. If you're not going to do anything about it, then why complain? Right? If you're not going to bring about change, why complain? And so as I'm doing work in Chester, as our team works in our city and in our community, we're always going to have negative feedback. I'm always going to get flack for the color of my skin, right? I'm always going to hear negative stuff about, I don't want this. Who asked for this? We should be doing X, Y, or Z. And that's okay. You know, it's part of the nature of the game. It's part of the work. It's part of the job. But for those of you that are listening to this, don't be that person, right? Don't be that individual, because it does no good for you. It does no good for your soul. It does no good for anybody unless you're replacing it with positive action. Now, turning to something positive, some really, really cool stuff. A couple of weeks ago, had a really wonderful opportunity that was not planned necessarily. I was speaking at Camp Orchard Hill the week or two prior, and the program director, a good friend of mine, let me know. He's like, hey, we had a speaker call out. They're not able to make this Winter Blast camp weekend. Would you be willing to come fill in as a speaker? And of course, I'm like, yes, absolutely. I was going to come and paint anyway, so I'll just come and paint and talk, and it'll be great. And leading up to this weekend, I don't know what it was. I was really in the Word, and I was just praying and seeking God. And I just had this burden, there's this weight to the weekend heading into it, where I was just in prayer and just being like, God, I'm praying that you would do something remarkable this weekend. And before the weekend started, there was a different energy or vibe or presence, you could say. I don't know what the right word is. I don't know what's theologically correct, but there was something different about how this weekend started. So you have all these kids show up. There's about 280 students and leaders that came on this camp weekend. And I start sharing going through, the different messages that I'd already prepared, so on and so forth. All the normal stuff. And God just started to open up conversations with students in really remarkable ways. And I can't really share the details of what those conversations were, just for the privacy of those students and leaders that I got to talk to. But there was deep and powerful conversations happening, like Holy Spirit ordained moments throughout this weekend. And then it got to Saturday night. Now, if you've been in youth ministry or you've been on these retreats or camps, you know that Saturday night, it's usually like gospel night. Some people call it cry night or whatever, because for whatever reason, I think kids are just so tired. They just, as soon as you hit them with any sort of like emotional like moment, they're just like weeping uncontrollably. And suddenly they're not as tough as they were 5 minutes ago. But I get to go in and give this message, talking about Lazarus, talking about resurrection by the power of the King, and how we're called to leave the old grave clothes behind, right? Leave those old things behind and walk in newness of life. And something happened that has not happened before, and honestly, totally threw me off. Like, I don't get thrown off. Like, I've had to talk through like and speak through some crazy things happening in like the room while I'm talking. This threw me off. So the way that it usually works is that I'll give a message, and then I'll share the gospel, and then I'll offer an invitation. But the way I do invitations is very different and very unique, simply because of the nature of the painting ministry. So what I do is that I share the gospel, and then I say something along the lines of like, I'm going to do a painting for you guys now. The painting takes about, let's say, 6 minutes. During this time, it's not time for you just to sit there and watch me do a painting and be like, wow, Tucker's really good at painting. Like, that's not the point or purpose. The goal is to create space for you to do business with God. So there's a response activity with these like strips of canvas that are representing our grave clothes that kids are invited to do, but also I invite kids, listen, and adults when I do this at churches and stuff. During this time, if you want to surrender your life to Jesus Christ, I want you to stand up in front of everybody and make your way forward and just sit in or kneel in front of this altar, just saying, I surrender my life to Jesus Christ. Now, what usually happens is that I give that information. I tell them when I start painting, as the Spirit leads you, you respond in these different ways if you feel moved to. And then kids or adults respond while I'm painting and the music is playing. What happened this time is that literally halfway through the invitation, these kids just stand up and start making their way forward. First it's 1, then it's 2, then 3, then 4, then 10, then 20, then 30, then 40. I don't even know the final count or number, but it felt like pretty much the entire room, which at that point you're like, did I do something wrong? Like, did I mess something up? Like, it was just this flood of people leaving their seats saying, I want to surrender my life to Jesus Christ. I want to declare him as Lord. I believe in his life, burial, death, and resurrection. I believe that he is God, he is King, and I want to surrender my life to him. And there was no room left in the aisles for people to come forward. There was no space up by the stage. It was packed full of students who were just declaring their surrender to Jesus Christ. And literally I'm still talking, but in the back of my head, I'm thinking, did I do something wrong? Did I mess this up somehow? Like, did I sell a cheap gospel? Did I offer like easy grace at the expense of like true repentance? And I like looked back on it, or I'm like thinking about it while this is happening. I'm like, no, like I'm sharing the depths of the gospel. And there was just this response, this presence in the room was so deep and fervent, and it was amazing. And I honestly, I got so tripped up. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do a painting now, I guess, even though everybody's already up here. And so I did the painting and with the music and everything, and lead them through like a prayer, a salvific styled prayer, just as a reflection of what's going on in their hearts and lives. And I go backstage as the band is closing out with a song, and kids are just like screaming the song at the top of their lungs. And I'm talking to the program director. I'm like, that was a first. That was what just happened. Like, we see thousands of people come to Christ throughout the years, right? But there was just something different about this. And the next morning, we get together with all of the leaders of the different churches, and we're sharing testimonies of kids that made salvation decisions or just amazing next steps in their faith journey that kids are making. And through all of it, the one theme that kind of came out, the one kind of, I guess you could say, assessment of that moment as leaders who have been doing youth ministry for a long time or camp ministry for a long time, is that the students there had a deep and fervent hunger to truly know God, to truly know Jesus Christ, and to give him their lives. Like, yeah, there were some kids that came up just because their friends came up. There was one kid in particular. This is the stuff they don't tell you about, like in ministry, like newsletters, because it doesn't write well. It doesn't sound good. But like, there was one kid who he fell asleep during the session, and I don't take the blame for that, right? Because they stay up till all hours of the night. But he fell asleep during the session, and then he woke up during the response time, and all the kids are coming forward, and he was like, what's going on? And he just stands up and just following everyone because he didn't know he was disoriented, didn't know what was going on. So like, you have stuff like that. Like, that's the reality of it. We don't gotta sugarcoat these things or spice these things up in some way to make it sound like, oh, everybody that came forward got saved. But like, everyone that came forward, for the most part, made a decision for a reason. And that decision, they get to be discipled through by their youth leaders. So for many, it's a salvation decision. For many, it's a recommitment decision. And I tried to delineate between those two things in the response, but this one was so overwhelming. It was like, this is kind of just a mixed bag that we have here. And some people are cynical about these things. I'm not. Like, I've gotten to do this for a long time, and I realize that the most important step in a journey is not the first step or the last step, it's the next step. And leading students and adults to make next step decisions is powerful. And I also don't try to inflate like numbers for our newsletter or for our annual report, right? I just give a general kind of like, all right, if let's say 120 kids came forward that night, I'll say like, all right, let's just say maybe like 75, 80 of those were like first time commitments. And I try to like round down in that way, which may sound bad, or maybe isn't the wisest marketing tactic or whatever, but I'd rather try to be honest and authentic and also wise and discerning than to just say, oh, like 1,000 people got saved at this camp. And it's like, there was 300 people there. How did 1,000 people get saved? I'm like, well, I got sent on social media, so at least, 1,000 people responded to this. I don't know. It's just not how I am. But guys, don't miss out on just the hunger that this next generation has for the things of God. They don't want the show. Like, they really don't. They want something that is authentic and real, and you can only give them a taste of that if you are living it yourself. Like, you can't lead someone somewhere that you haven't been. You know what I mean? So my encouragement to you today is don't give up on the next generation. Don't give up on these young people. Invite them into your journey. Invite them into your story. Don't offer them a shallow, fake faith. Don't offer them a production. Offer them Jesus. And your truly deep, authentic relationship with him is what connects young people to the Lord. Your awe of God. Your just wonder of who he is. People desire that. This generation has been robbed of their awe and wonder of the King. They really have. Maybe you've been robbed of your awe and wonder of the King. Maybe God has become so ordinary to you that you don't see him for who he is. He is the God of all creation, of galaxies. Sometimes when I'm praying to the Lord, I like to think of him dwelling out there in some far off like nebula, just looking at it, just crafting it, just enjoying his own creation. And we know God isn't limited time and space. He doesn't live in one area. Yeah, I know the theology of it. All right, I'm using my imagination. But I like to imagine that he's out there and I'm praying to him and just his vastness and just how gloriously unimaginable he is. And that even in that vastness, even in that far off just otherness of God, he still hears me. He still sees me. He still knows what I'm facing and what I'm dealing with. How beautiful is that? Don't lose your sense of awe and wonder of the King, of God, because he is glorious and amazing and wonderful. So we've been doing weekend events all year long through January and February, seeing over 200 people or so come to Christ, make those first-time decisions. So many more just with recommitment, so many more students just laying down burdens and surrendering to the Lord more deeply. And it's just been a blessing to be a part of that and to see that and experience that and all of its amazing resurrection power. It's been beautiful. And I'm getting really amped up for what's coming up next, not just with Painting Freedom, but with the Poema Project. So you guys know that we've finished the administration building at the school site. The school building the next school building is being constructed as we speak, and then we'll start on the dormitory for 200 students, as well as staff housing. But this week, we got our team finalized that is heading to the Poema Project in June. Every year, we run a short-term missions trip with a team out there for 2 weeks. They'll go and they'll run Vacation Bible School for about 400 students. We cover all the supplies, the food, the curriculum, everything needed for that camp for those students. And actually, it goes to a couple other locations, but we just do the one main location at the Poema Project site. So our team has started fundraising for that. If you are passionate about overseas missions or passionate about what we're doing in Africa, I encourage you to go to our website, or you can click one of the links in the description below and contribute directly to the 2026 Tanzania missions trip team. You can donate directly there to support our team members. They have to fundraise their support to cover the costs of flights and their meals and lodging and all that stuff. So if you are feeling led to support the work that's happening over there and support the team that is going over there, I know that they would appreciate your support. So visit thepoemaproject.com or poemaproject.com. And you can donate there. You can donate through any of our other giving platforms, artistcommission.com, paintingfreedom.com, legacyartchester.com, or just our giving platform, any of those things. If you would like to support that team. But even more than that, I hope you guys are praying as God lays it on your heart or put it on your prayer list. Pray for the team that is heading over there as they prepare. This is not your average Vacation Bible School, because not only is it in the wilderness, but also the curriculum that we don't make the curriculum. It's made by Africa Inland Church Tanzania, our church partner over there. For whatever reason, and I will never be able to figure this out, and if any of you are listening from AICT, know that I love you. Thank you for all that you do. But the camp curriculum is always the deepest or most complicated theological discussion for these young kids that I have ever witnessed. So like last year, it was all about the Holy Spirit, pneumatology, right? And I'm reading, I'm like, how in the world are we communicating this to 4-year-olds, right? Or we're talking about like the gifts of the Spirit, things like that. I'm like, oh my God, how do you explain speaking in tongues to a 4-year-old? Okay. This year, they're taking it up a notch. I just got the curriculum, that's Swahili copy from our team over there. And the theme this year is it is the end times. It's eschatology and Revelation. I'm like, oh my goodness. So we got to translate this from Swahili into English and then figure out how to communicate it to these kids back from English into Swahili in a way that is accessible for them. Oh my goodness. It is, it's an adventure. It is always an adventure in Tanzania. Is always an adventure at the Poema Project. So please be praying for us as we prepare the curriculum. If you are interested in ever joining the team over there or to joining one of the missions trips over at the Poema Project, please reach out to me. You can get a hold of me, Tucker at theartistcommission.com. You'll come directly to me and I can get you hooked in and get you on the list for one of our missions trips, because we'd love for you guys to go and see the work that you are investing in, that you are supporting. You can meet the kids that are going to be in the school when they come to camp for a week, and really just feel like you can actually like touch and feel and know the work that you are investing in is game changing. And so that's my encouragement to you guys is come be a part of it. Let me know if you'd like to be a part of it and reach out anytime. Now, just a reminder, if you're listening to this for the first time and you are not subscribed, make sure you like and subscribe for all ministry updates and stories coming from the Arts Commission with our 3 initiatives, Legacy Arts Chester, Painting Freedom, or the Poema Project. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for how you believe in this work, how you support this work, how you pray for this work. Make sure if you need prayer, you let us know. Reach out to partnercare@theartistcommission.com. We want to pray for you. We want to support you. We love you guys. Thank you so much. God bless you all.